Hey guys, I want to share with you today how our no spend January is going. We are spending a little money on milk, raw milk, eggs, and fruits, fresh fruits and vegetables as needed, but we are not spending any other money besides bills and giving that we always do. We're trying to save a lot of money this month. So I want to share with you how we've done so far. As I'm filming this, we're day 3, January 3rd, and I think I'm going to try to get up a few extra videos this month just to give you some progress, show you what we're eating, those kind of things. And in my next video, I'm going to give you a pantry tour, just like what we're starting with kind of thing, and some meal plan ideas that we have. But today I have something very, very fun to share with you, so I hope you stick around. I wanted to let you know that I literally am the worst influencer in the whole world. I'm the worst because apparently I've influenced some people, quite a few people, to join with us in our no spend January. But I'm supposed to be selling a book this month. Judah, my oldest, said you should call it a one spend January. I'm the worst. Anyway, we are selling a book. It is pre-order right now. It's actually not available till near the end of February coming out, but we really do appreciate any of your pre-orders. I'm so glad so many of you are doing this no spend month with us. It's really awesome, and if you're really diehard, you can buy it still in February too. It will still be available. We did self-publish this book. It's about parenting, if I didn't mention that before, and it does help us a lot if you pre-order it. I have a link. I know that our last link stopped working at some point, so we have a new fresh one down in the description box below. But also, since we did self-publish it, we only ordered a certain amount of books, so we will maybe be able to do another order down the road. But if you want to get in on that first batch of books, you will want to order it right away so that you can get a copy right at the end of February. So anyway, let me tell you what we have spent in our no spend January so far. First of all, a couple days before January, we went to our farm, our local farm where we get our milk. We bought 12 gallons of milk and about 7 dozen eggs, I think. It was $100 exactly. It was 99, so we stuck $100 in the jar. We brought that home. It was last month, but it goes toward our grocery budget this month. So that's why I'm letting you know about that. On the 1st, on New Year's Day, we had breakfast burritos for breakfast. We had Solo made some with leftover rice and some beef we had thawed, ground beef. He made a palau real quick after church. And then at night, he had thawed a bunch of beef ribs that we had from the cow we bought. And he had put those on the Traeger from after church until evening, so like 7 p.m. they were done, and they were amazing. We ate a bunch of ribs, so we ate very well on New Year's Day. The next day was a birthday in our house. Luka turned 16, so for breakfast he requested pancakes, which we made. Then Solo and I took him out to lunch, which is what we want to do with each of our kids this whole year on their birthdays. So he chose sushi. We went out to sushi for lunch, and then we took him shopping. He really did not want anything for his birthday that he could think of except a car, which we help our kids buy a car. Their first one we match whatever they've saved, but he's not quite ready to actually buy the car. We're not buying him the whole car, so we looked at cars online a little bit, but then we went out to Kohl's. He finally decided he wanted a suit for his birthday. So he got a black suit. It is really nice. We also shopped in the clearance section a little bit. He got this really cool fleece jacket. It's Eddie Bauer that was on clearance. It was a really good deal, and a pair of pants too, besides that. So he came out with a nice little haul from Kohl's. So now's the part where I tell you when we spent money that we were not going to. Solo found a pair of shorts at Kohl's that he bought, and I reminded him it is no spend January, and he told me these shorts are 90% off. I'm buying them. So he did buy a pair of shorts. I think 90% off, they were $14. And I'm totally telling on him. I warned him I would. Anyway, that was our first purchase that we did not plan for no spend January. The birthdays we did plan. So anyway, that night Luka wanted a potato ham soup that we make a lot. Him and Judah love that soup. They ask for it a lot on their birthdays. So the only ingredient that we do not store that one needed, we needed Velveeta cheese, which is not something we keep on hand. We mostly only use it for that soup, like a couple times a winter, basically. So we picked up that. We got a huge bag of russet potatoes, which we used last night in that soup, plus this bag of red potatoes, this bag of red onions, these 2 bunches of bananas. We want to make a lot of smoothies with some frozen fruit. Actually, I really want to make some peanut butter smoothies. Doesn't that sound good? And then we also got ice cream. So Velveeta cheese and ice cream were the birthday thing. We made a cake. Belle made the cake. She really wanted to make it for him. She made a vanilla cake with some lemon icing and buttercream frosting, I think it was. It was very good. And we enjoyed that with some ice cream at night. So that was a good birthday for him. We're on to the 3rd. We have not bought anything else. 2 things that I would have bought if I did not, if we were not doing this month so far, is today I realized I was out of printer ink, but thankfully I actually, a few months ago, decided to store the next set of printer ink, which I don't normally do. So thankful, because when you're homeschooling, you need printer ink. And actually my kids that go off to school once a week for a co-op, they needed to print a bunch of stuff. So I'm so grateful that I actually stored that ahead. I wrote that down on a list. When we're back to spending money, I will probably get some again to save for the next time we're out. It's so convenient to have that ahead. I'm glad we finally started doing that. Also today our pencil sharpener broke. So we have plenty of pencils, but that will be something we'll buy later too. Anyway, it does make you think twice, like, well, how could we get away without that for a while? We have a neighbor who has a pencil sharpener. We can sharpen pencils over there if we need to. So yeah, that's how it's going so far. Now, my dad was in town recently and we filmed a video about parenting. It is very fun. I just edited it, so I'm gonna throw that on the end of this video. I hope you enjoy it. I think you'll laugh and get some out of it if you stay around and watch it. It's really fun. But we talk about communication with kids. Anyway, thank you guys for being around. Like I said, in next video, I'll get back to you with another update and what we're eating and all that good stuff. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah. Hey. This is
the Papa's Kitchen. That's good. The Papa. That's right. Not the Papa's Kitchen. I'm not a kitchen, but I am the Papa.
He's advertising his channel. My dad is joining me today. We're talking about something very, very exciting. I haven't talked about a lot on this channel, but I wrote a book. Yep. He wrote a book. I co-authored it. Am I called a contributing author, maybe?
Yeah. Your name's on the front cover.
It's a little nerve-wracking because it's a parenting book and I'm still in the thick of parenting. But it's a very good book, actually. Everybody who's read it, like our editors and my mom just read it, they're very impressed by this book.
Susan was like, oh my goodness.
I know,
she told me,
I'm learning stuff.
Jerry, you are a good writer. Sarah's a good writer.
She said it was funny.
Yeah, it is funny.
Anyway, we're very excited about this book. It's a parenting book, but you may have read parenting books before and they tell you everything you have to do and then you close it and it's discouraging because it's hard to implement all the things. And this book is a little different. We talk about parenting principles. My grandma actually also, his mom, was a contributing author, and we, my dad wrote the bulk of the book, but we, in each chapter, my grandma and I contribute at least once, if not 2 or 3 times.
2 or 3 times.
Oh, at least 2 or 3 times. And we're giving practical examples, but it's all about principles. And principles are the overriding way in which you can parent to be successful for what you want the outcome to be in your kids. And so if you are an overwhelmed parent that is, you're waking up thinking, okay, now I gotta do all of this stuff and I need to fix this and do that. And then you go to bed overwhelmed because you weren't able to be successful. This book is for you, I think, because it really will give you hope. It's teaching how to apply principles so that you can decide what's important for you and to see the outcomes that you want to see. And so it's not telling you, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to have timeouts, you have to, whatever, just you name it. It's not that kind of parenting book.
There's no tricks.
There's no tricks.
Yeah.
And every household is so different. In fact, the way my grandma raised her kids, you'll see if you read the book, is different than how my parents raised their kids. So my grandparents to my parents, and then how Solo and I raise our kids. But we also do all raise them with these principles, and And it really has helped us be successful in so many ways. Now, there are no perfect parents out there. We definitely are not claiming to be that. But I really believe that this book will bring encouragement, it'll be refreshing, and it will help you, especially if you're in that overwhelmed space. Or, you know, I get in that overwhelmed space often. And it was even so encouraging to me to read through what he had written and be reminding myself. And then I was able to contribute a lot of different examples of how we do it in our own home currently. So I thought it'd be fun today if we talk about a little bit about one of the chapters, and we did this on his channel too. You can go check that out. We covered actually a different chapter. Just touched on it a little. You definitely get more in the book, but I thought we could do a different one that's kind of fun today. If you want to pre-order the book, I just want to say that I'll put a link in the description box below. It's awesome. It really helps us when you pre-order a lot. It helps authors when you pre-order their books, and then it will arrive to you the day the day it's released or the day after. And so that's pretty cool. But it really helps generate sales or get things going when we get pre-orders. So we really appreciate everyone's support through this. We do. And if you order a book, we just want to say thank you ahead. Right now.
Right at the beginning, that's right.
But let's talk about communication. Communication is a big deal from the very young stages all the way through forever.
Even now.
Yeah.
I mean, really, even now. I'm 68 and I'm still communicating.
Call your mother.
Yeah, call your mother. That's right. Exactly. Communication, in my mind, starts at the earliest stages that you can possibly imagine. You don't wait until they're 13, 15 years old and then hope to establish lines of communication.
Yeah, that's right.
You don't do it.
No. Yeah, it does. Definitely does have to start early.
Yeah. And so one of the things that my mother did for us, 3 boys particularly, when we came home from school, my mother, we lived in Detroit, on the east side of Detroit, and she would invariably be down in the basement, maybe ironing or something like that. These are vivid memories for us all. And we would come home.
Ironing? Who irons?
Yeah, well, no, but they did back then. And it wasn't even a finished basement. And we'd come in, 5 years old, 6 years old, first grade. Oh, you're home. Good. You know, she'd do this. Oh, what happened at school today? You know, we would start with nothing.
Yeah.
No. We're not doing that.
Yeah.
And she would say no. And how she did teach us, Sarah, is she asked questions.
Yeah.
She just probed. I mean, it was probing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's like a tonsillectomy kind of thing.
She's very good at that.
She is good, and I'm good.
I think we learned from her.
Right, we learned from her. Yeah. And she would probe. No. And here's how she would do it. You got to school. Who did you see?
Yeah.
And I saw Timmy. Okay, what did Timmy have to say? And then and our teacher, I remember my first grade teacher, Mrs. Smith. What did Mrs. Smith say?
Yeah.
And then you tell a little bit. Okay, what did she say after that?
Yeah.
And then what did you do? And then blah blah blah. And it goes up. Who did you eat lunch with?
Yeah.
And what did they have for lunch? And I mean, this is stuff I know that it is not having to do anything with anything, but she wants every detail. Yes. Well, I'll tell you where this ends up. Yeah. Years later, it's still to this day, us 3 boys have to give her every detail.
She calls me and
I know
thanks to the blog, she really knows each one of my kids well. Who they are and what their personality is. And she'll be like, so what's going on with Luka?
Yeah.
Exactly what, but and are there any girls in his life?
Yeah, have you asked him?
I'm like,
have you talked to him about I know it. And it's all that communication thing.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, and I think a big key that she had, which I always think about, is she took interest. She was truly interested. I don't know if she wrote down details so she'd remember to ask later, but she was very interested. I think kids are very perceptive. They can tell if you're asking and you don't really care and you don't really have time. Let me tell you something, a key here that I think about all the time. Parenting is work.
Yeah.
It takes time. You actually have to have time built in to your week. I think families are so busy right now. There's not even time for communication. It really is so important, because what will happen is if you don't make time for it now, you don't make it a priority, then down the line you'll be like, why does my kid never talk to me? And there are definitely stages where teens go through where they just withdraw more. They don't want to. They're learning. They're kind of growing into their own lives and kind of figuring out, what am I telling mom and dad, what am I not? But overall, we want to foster open communication with our kids as very much as possible. And actually, those young years, if you don't make time for it, it will hurt in the end. I think taking time out of a busy schedule, like having dinner together as many times a week as you can, and actually talking during that dinner, like electronics go away, we're actually talking about things, really taking interest in your child's life, knowing their teacher's name, knowing their best friend's names, knowing even who the new kid in class is and what's going on with them. When you show real interest, and I think that's what Grandma always did. You guys did a great, Grandma and Grandpa, you guys did a great job of that. And we try to do that same thing with our kids, really being genuinely interested in what is going on in their lives. Then kids want to tell you when they know it's genuine. Kids can tell if it's not genuine, or if you really want to get back to that Instagram you were reading or whatever it is, you know. They can tell if you're not really that interested.
Engaged, exactly.
Engaged. And a lot of that is remembering what they're telling you and asking very detailed questions, like you said.
Let me tell you why remembering is so important. My mother proved this, because she would remember what we said on Tuesday. And then when our story changed on Friday,
Wait a minute.
she goes, no, just a second. You told me back over here that, and we'd get caught in a lie every single time. Oh, it was terrible. Oh, my goodness sake. The other thing I remember in the book, the chapter on communication, you wrote in one of your sections there about how you even take communication as an affirming device, affirming your children.
So it goes both ways. You want your kids to be communicating with you, but actually as communicators to your children, what Solo and I really try to do is affirm them and build them up and encourage them more than we're correcting them, which is hard when you're going about day-to-day life. Like when you're actually just trying to get stuff done, you're trying to get the homeschool done or get them off to school and then make sure their homework gets done. I mean, there's so many pressures in families today and all the things, and it's hard not to just be like criticizing or correcting. Let me say correcting. To be correcting constantly,
that can be defeating.
It's defeating for the child. And so we really try to be encouraging. I tell you what, if you can switch that around, because a lot of times it's our default, is to correct them. Why aren't you doing this? You need to get this. Go do this. You didn't do this. Blah, blah, blah. I just did it with my kid on the phone. You need to be more organized, because he has me looking for a test for him, and he's not here right now, and I need to bring it to him, and I'm going through his papers, and I'm like, you need to organize yourself, you know? But I tell you, kids respond so much better to encouragement and compliments and just being built up, especially as they get older. And so we really try to remember that ourselves, to build them up and encourage them, find things. And sometimes you go through stages where you're like, really, you need binoculars. I mean, a magnifying glass to find this. But find the thing. Find the thing, Find the thing that you can build them up. And it really does help them just want to okay, you know, if you go to work, I always think about this, like when we're dealing with our children, sometimes with the people closest to us, we can be the harshest, right? But in a work environment, you're going to speak more politely to your kids. I ask them, can you please get that for me? I try to speak polite, like show respect to them, not just bark orders at them. But when you're building someone up, when you're being built up in the workplace, let me say, we probably all have workplace experience to some degree. When you're being built up, boy, you want to work harder for that person. So it's the same with your kids. When they're being built up, they're more likely to want to participate and work harder, you know, than just
you put in that chapter. I remember you said that you would do the thing where you pick a kid and say, "You are my favorite." Yeah,
and I don't pick it randomly. I really believe it. Today, you're
my favorite.
Today,
yes.
Today, Hope, you're my favorite. And they're like, oh.
Yeah, I know it. Let me tell you, that is Grandma Shirley all over the place.
All the other kids are like, oh boy.
And let me tell you And they know.
They
all
know.
The kids
I pick all. They've all been my favorite plenty of times. But I'll let them know. Whoa! It's always very self-serving.
Yeah.
They'll bring me something. I'll be like, oh, you're my favorite.
Yeah.
They just love it.
Let me tell you that still works. If any of you follow my particular blog on the Papa's Kitchen, you know I talk about my mother, that I'm her favorite #1 right now. I'm 68 years old and I'm still looking for that affirmation. Oh my goodness sakes, I'm in bad shape.
I have had a lot of people, like, if we've left it on our blog, sometimes where I'll tell a kid, oh, you're my favorite today.
Yeah.
And then people be like, oh, I wish I would have heard that even just once. And,
yes,
and so
I see
it just,
that a
it's
lot
a reminder
of
that a lot of times we don't affirm our kids. Not a lot of you would say, I would never do that. And that's fine. That's it. We joke. We joke in our house. And they know. Yeah. But it's fun. And they all like to be the favorite for the day.
They do. They do. It's like a badge without any medal.
Yeah. I'm always giving points. Wow, 50 points.
And they don't even know what they come.
You won. What'd I win? A high five. They'll be like, woo. They don't go for that as much when they're 13 as they do like when they're 5.
But you know what though? If you teach them when they're 2 and 3 years old, by the time they are 13, 15, 17, they'll still communicate with you. They will still be open with you and won't be hiding or be deceitful.
And we definitely, with kids, they go through stages where they are, like I said, more secretive about certain, you know, they go through stages where they're just coming into themselves. But for the most part, we make time for that communication, and they do open up. It's just sometimes that door to get it open, it's harder for a season, you know? Like it's stuck, you know, when the weather changes and the door doesn't open quite as easily. I feel like that kind of happens through different spots in their teen years, but we just keep opening the door. You know what I mean? And a lot of times that means a family dinner or being purposeful, taking them out to eat at their favorite restaurant. And it might have to be more than once, because it may take them a couple times to warm up to that idea. Or just being open, because here's the thing. Listen, I got toddlers to teens. You think you don't sleep much with little ones.
Oh, no. Oh, God.
The teens, guess when they want to talk?
Midnight.
Yeah.
Midnight.
10, 11, 12,
Midnight.
and I'm like, well, I know the baby will be waking me up at 2.
And by the way,
and the toddlers at 6 a.m.
And what they're talking about is not light.
Oh, it's not light. It's like, okay, let's settle in. Here we go.
It's a big deal. And it's a big deal to them, and it better be a big deal to you.
Yes, and the Solo and I just decided we're making time. When it's time, when they say they want to talk, we're talking. And we're talking no matter how.
Honestly, as a parent,
you know, there's caffeine. There's always caffeine for the next
morning. That's
true.
And honestly, as a parent, you want that.
You do.
You don't want them going to somebody else with a different value system or a different approach to problem solving. You really want them to feel like they can come to you when they really are, their back is against the wall.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is what this book is like. We're talking about these kind of things and what you can do practically, a lot of practical ways that we've done it, but and how you could even just take the principles and do what's right for your family, your situation, to get some of the results that you want. And just because what we really ultimately want is we want our kids to grow up to be human beings that are contributing to the world. We each have different values that we want them to really have in their lives, but we want them to be their own people that are doing what they're called to do. We're called to do certain things, and our kids are all uniquely made to do their own thing, and so we want to see them come into that and have fulfillment in their life and all those things. And so we really try to give you some ways to think, to be very purposeful in your parenting.
Yeah, and honestly, not only all those things that you mention of goals that you want for them, but honestly, you want them to be successful with their own parenting. With their own
kids,
and their grandkids and all that. In other words, the legacy you're building into your children now, think of it long term. Get the long view on this thing. That's going to perpetuate. And I know, and I'm not bragging as much as I read the same comments you do with our vlogs. And, I wish I'd grown up in a family like yours. Well, look, can I give you an encouraging thought? If you didn't, you can start it with you.
Yes, that's so true.
You can start it with you. I look back on my great-grandmother and grandfather. That's as far back as I know. But they had a certain way and a value and everything else. And they started something that carried through my grandparents, that carried through my parents, that carried in me, into my kids, into my grandkids. you're already 6 generations right there.
Yes, but we've seen a lot of parents be able to just start a new thing because maybe they came from, like he's talking about the generations that are doing it the same way. Maybe they came from generations that of abuse and abuse and abuse and abuse, and abuse can create abuse that can create abuse. But listen, it can stop with you.
Yeah.
And I want you to be encouraged about that. And I know there are a lot of parents out there that are seeking, like, what's the right way? I want to do it right. There's so many voices, and we totally hear that and understand that. And we want you to be successful too.
We really
and we want
do.
to give you the tools that, some tools that may be, that you might find very helpful in your journey. So.
Actually, and I don't want to turn this into a religious conversation, but honestly, I really believe God wants them to be successful.
Absolutely.
He wants you to be
100%.
so successful.
Yeah.
And so this book
He gave you those kids.
He gave you, that's right. And this book is designed to help enhance the possibility of that success. It really is,
He gave you those kids because he knew that you can do it. Do well with them.
You can do it. Yeah.
So anyway, we all are stretching and I mean, let me say, he's done. But I am still in the learning. I'm always learning, and I'm always needing to learn. It was an honor to be able to contribute to this book. But we're learning and growing too, and I learned a lot from the book. So
yeah, there you go.
Guys, I'll leave that link in the description box below. Thanks for joining me on my channel today.
My pleasure. And listen, get the book. It's a good value for your dollars. Trust me. $15.99. Pre-order it. It'll get to you immediately after it's released by the publisher. And you won't be disappointed, I guarantee.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you soon.
See ya.
Bye.